Joining us now to discuss it is NewsNation contributor Johanna Maska. Johanna, great to see you from out there in the Golden State. So what's going on here? Steve Garvey, who's 74 years old, incidentally, and won the MVP in 1974, is he serious, and does he have a shot?
Oh my gosh, it is fabulous seeing all my friends there. Look, I live in Dodger country. There's very few nights, you know, when there's a Dodger game, there's fireworks, traffic is all changed. Everybody in LA loves the Dodgers. But when he said he was thinking about running, of course, I reached out to one of my biggest Dodger friends, and I said, what do you think? And they said, I need to know his politics. And California is a state where we've got twice the number of registered Democrats as we have Republicans. He could change the dynamic for the, you know, in California, the top two vote getters will head to the general election versus, you know, Republican and Democrat. So right now you've got three major Democrats in the race with Adam Schiff, Katie Porter, and of course Barbara Lee.
Yeah.
And so right now they're imagining a race in which the top two vote getters of them would go on to the general. And if he gets in the race and he consolidates Republican support, he could certainly get that primary to mean a heck of a lot more. But the likelihood of him winning is pretty slim because Arnold Schwarzenegger, remember, one, he was pro-choice, pro-environment, and two, he was married to a Shriver, so in the Kennedy family.
Okay.
Johanna, good to see you. Mike Blake, appreciate you always, my friend. So as you just highlighted, this is a top two state. So I think us being practical and realistic, can we focus on the other candidates in terms of Barbara Lee, Schiff, and Porter, and how do you see them actually shaping up in this race?
Yeah, well, last weekend they had the big Democratic convention, and so I was asking a bunch of folks. And I guess Katie Porter has been asking some women to do fundraisers, and it's interesting because the women are not willing to go out there on the limb for just Katie Porter. They'll say, you know what, I actually want to do one with Barbara Lee and Katie Porter, and you can share your ideas, and then whoever has the best ideas can win. And so there's a lot of, you know, it's very contentious out here. Katie Porter won what's a really swing district for us, and her leaving that district makes Democrats vulnerable. So there are some people who are frustrated that she's making that run instead of staying in that House seat that cost so much to win. Now, Barbara Lee, of course, Ro Khanna is on her committee. She's trying to make the case. She's the black woman running for Senate. We don't have a black woman representing our state right now. Johanna,
I want to give you two pieces of information. A new poll out says of Californians says that a majority, 52%, believe that the senator should actually resign now. And of course, that would trigger the governor appointing would most likely be a Democrat to serve out the term, giving that person a leg up. But I also want to talk to you about, because you're in a unique position. You were the director of Press Advance. You advanced a lot of presidential trips. I don't even know how many. I know there had to be dozens of them. And yesterday, when the president was traveling, President Biden we're talking about now, there were some mishaps. We saw him at the Air Force Academy in Colorado, moving away from the podium, tripping over a sandbag that had been placed there. A lot of concern, a lot of hand-wringing about that. And then coming off Marine One, you see him there. He sort of bumped his head coming off Marine One. So how do these incidents, these mishaps, play into public perception? And what could be done? I mean, who put the sandbag there, for crying out loud?
Yeah, that's, you know, I remember once, and Mike Blake and I were hanging together in the early days of Iowa, so always love seeing so many people who have been in the field for so long, thousands of trips. I remember once President Obama tripped up a stair, and afterwards the guy who had advanced the site, the stairs were different lengths apart. And of course President Obama was so calm, he just came back and he was like, you know, you just have to tell me. And he felt so bad. Yeah. I imagine that whoever did that is probably pretty upset, but I think there's nothing that's going to change the realities that we have an 80-year-old candidate, and so people question whether it was an advanced person or the age.
Okay. Thank you, Johanna. Great to see you from out there. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.